Here's what to do the next time you get caught in a bad vibe. A bad vibe that attracts unwanted manifestations into your experience. Get ready. Ready to sing. Ready to sing your own praises, that is, because there are a bunch of reasons why those bad vibes and the resulting manifestation of unwanted things is actually a good thing. Evidence of your mastery of the spiritual laws. And no, you don't have to be a masochist in order to appreciate your own bad vibes. You can if you want, and you don't have to. First of all, I get it. I do. We've all been there, caught in a bad vibe, and then irritated at both ourselves and the entire world over it. Bad vibes. What does that mean anyway? Bad vibes are what you experience when you feel out of sorts, aren't they? When you're feeling worried, uneasy, triggered perhaps, annoyed, agitated, worried. Things just get on your nerves, things that don't usually bother you, and you are in a bad mood. You might feel angry, or you might just feel very low in energy, listless, lifeless. You might feel the weight of the world on your shoulders. Your mental and emotional energy is drawn to unwanted thoughts and feelings. Maybe you feel vulnerable, unsafe. The world seems unfriendly and dangerous and out to get you. Even if you recognize on some level that the thoughts you are thinking are paranoid, you can't seem to snap out of that feeling, that vibe. You have the feeling that things are just not right. The feeling that something is wrong, that things are less than ideal. Where you once felt love and appreciation, you now feel irritated and grouchy and blameful and full of scorn. You feel drained of all positivity. Wherever you go and wherever you look, you see everything that is wrong with the world. Problems everywhere instead of solutions. You look at little children and instead of seeing them as innocent or angelic and symbolic of a bright and hopeful future, you shake your head with disgust and mutter things like, kids these days, or yeah, live it up now, you little farts. You'll grow old and decrepit just like the rest of us one day too, dumb kids. Your sense of humor grows dark. You might even feel some strange allure in the idea of chaos and suffering and misery befalling all of humankind, men, women, and children alike. Total annihilation and destruction and the end of all things. You experience fascination with the twisted things your own mind comes up with. You are darkly entertained by them. It's no accident, don't you think, that there are so many popular blockbuster movies about chaos and destruction and the end of the world? So many movies about dystopian futures in which people are in desperate need of a heroic and even messianic figure? I digress. When you are feeling this way, when all you see is doom and gloom and no way out except for a miracle, you are nowhere in the vicinity of the feeling of the wish fulfilled, which you might faintly be able to recollect, happens to be the secret to manifesting your desires, remember? And now you have another reason to feel annoyed or triggered or sad or vulnerable, because those bad vibes are not only killing your good vibes, they are interfering with the realization of your desired manifestations. They are getting in the way of you receiving the things you prefer, the things you desire. Darn it! Is there no way out of this quagmire of bad vibes? They're seriously messing with your ability to attract and manifest your desires. Not only are they stopping you from getting the things you want, they are also attracting more and more unwanted things, things that are the opposite of your heart's desire, which leaves you feeling far from being the powerful and deliberate creator you supposedly are. Step 1. Be glad that you noticed it. Glad that you noticed that you were not in the vicinity of the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Emphasis on were, past tense, and emphasis on glad. Because if you notice that you felt an unpleasant emotion, that you thought that unwanted thing, then it's negative energy that has already flowed. If it's something that can be noticed, something that can be observed, it means it's old, it's stale, already manifested, bought, sold, signed, sealed and delivered already. What you've noticed, the one who flowed that negative energy, the one who is caught in that bad vibe, is who you were a moment ago. It isn't who you are now. Who you are now, the latest, freshest you, depends on what you now think and feel. Who you are now does not have to follow who you were a moment ago. You could. It would be easy to follow that you and think low vibe thoughts because those are your recent thoughts. It's easy to continue to be what you already are, to continue to do what you have already been doing. It's just as easy to change directions though, because who you really are is even fresher and recenter. Who you really are is at the leading edge of creation. It's a matter of which direction you are facing. If you are facing the past and noticing your past selves, who you were a moment ago, who you were yesterday, who you were years ago, then you are putting yourself in the back seat. It's not that you aren't still moving toward the future. You still are. Moving toward the future is inevitable no matter how resistant you are, no matter how much you resist with negative thoughts and bad vibes, because that's what bad vibes are essentially. They're resistance. The point is that if you face the past, you are following instead of leading. You are being taken for a ride instead of taking the wheel. You are being dragged in a manner of speaking. And that's how you feel about things, that they are a drag. If you face the cutting edge, the frontier, what is about to manifest, what has not yet manifested, in other words, now you are putting yourself where you truly belong, in the driver's seat, and you have a clear, unobstructed view of the open road. Step 2. There is no step 2, actually. That's step 1. That was it. All done. Boom. Position yourself so that you have a clear, unobstructed view of the open road. The question is, are you facing the unknown with an attitude of fear, impatience, disappointment, or are you facing the unknown with a sense of excitement and fun and adventure? What sort of energy are you flowing toward the unknown? What sort of energy are you flowing toward unmanifested things? Positive energy or negative? Your energy is constantly flowing, and if it isn't flowing positively, then it's flowing other than positively. It isn't like there is a daily quota on each of these things, positive and negative. Your supply of positive and negative emotions is abundant, unlimited. You could be unconditionally negative if you chose. You could refuse to allow anything to cheer you up. Don't you know people like that? You do all sorts of things in order to please them, and it's an impossible task because they are never satisfied. What you do is never good enough for such people because it's not you that needs to cheer them up. They are the one in control of their energy. It's not your responsibility to cheer them up. It's your responsibility to manage your own energy and not use other people's unhappiness as an excuse not to flow your own positive energy. You are not here to please others. Others are not here to please you either. You are here to please yourself. Yes, as selfish as that sounds, as self-serving as that sounds, that is what you came here for. You are most capable of being of service to others by being of service to yourself first. Anyway, you did not come into this life in order to suffer and be miserable. You are here to enjoy yourself and have a good time. That might involve suffering and being miserable, and it doesn't have to. You are here to enjoy yourself and have a good time. That doesn't mean to manipulate others into doing your bidding, although it could. What it means is that you could master your own energy, manage your own energy so that you are aligned with who you really are, so that you are full of spirit. Master your own alignment, and you won't have to bother getting other people to do your bidding, because people who are willing and eager to contribute to the causes that matter to you will be drawn to you through no effort of your own, without you having to go running after them. That's how powerful the spiritual laws are. That's how effortless you become when you are in alignment with your highest self. Your spirit, that part of you who is non-physical and cannot be seen, heard, smelled, tasted, or touched is unconditional, unconditional, unconditionally loving, unconditionally appreciative, unconditionally joyful. Happy, in other words. Happy just to be here. Everything about human life is interesting to non-physical. How could it not be when you have already witnessed firsthand the great expanse of emptiness out there in the deep, dark recesses of the universe? Compared to the vast barrenness of space, life on planet Earth is fascinating. Before non-physical energy settled on your physical body as its temporary place of abode, it traveled millions of trillions of zillions of light years through the vacuum of space and time and witnessed a whole lot of, well, nothing. Sure, it may have witnessed life on planet Earth from another perspective in the physical form of a tree in the Jurassic era, for instance. It may even have witnessed life in other galaxies. We can't know that. Whatever physical form it may have assumed before, including other human incarnations, for some reason, this time around, non-physical chose you. It was attracted to and became one with the energy that manifested into the physical mass that became you. It wanted to experience what you are experiencing now. It wanted to experience life as you are experiencing it. Life according to you. Non-physical is happy. That's all you need to know. Non-physical is fascinated. Spirit is not experiencing remorse or regret over the fact that it is trapped in physical human form. The difference between physical you and spirit you is that spirit doesn't feel trapped. Spirit never feels trapped. It knows that it is free. And every time you remember that you are free, you are one with spirit. You are spiritually aligned. Long story short, if you've noticed that you are in a low mood or in a bad vibe or in a rut or in a funk or whatever you want to call it, if you are experiencing unwanted thoughts, unwanted emotions, and unwanted physical manifestations, you are now free. You are already. You freed yourself the moment you noticed it. If you noticed it, well done, in other words, because there's no way you could have noticed that you were experiencing something other than what you desire unless you didn't have some awareness of what you do desire to begin with. It's like you couldn't have an intense craving for something such as chocolate if you had never tasted chocolate before, if you had never even heard of it. How could you crave something which you have no awareness of? How could you crave chocolate unless you knew what it even was to begin with, unless you knew what it tasted like and that you liked it? In the same way, you could not feel bad without knowing how good it feels to feel good. You could not feel trapped without having an awareness of what freedom tasted like. You could not be in a funk unless you knew what it was like to be spirited and carefree. You could not. How could you, right? So what? The point is that you are free to choose. You are free because you are aware. If you are aware that you are in a funk or caught in bad vibes, you are now free to choose to continue to remain where you have been or to move in a better feeling direction. You are free to realign with unconditional spirit who is unconditionally happy and free and loving. You are equally free to wait for conditions to align in your physical reality so that you can use those physical conditions as your excuse to allow yourself to flow your own positive energy. Little hint, unconditional spiritual alignment isn't just easier, it's also a lot faster. The point is that you are free. You are the one who gets to choose. You are the only one who can assume your state of consciousness. You are the only one who can manage your energy. You are the thinker of your thoughts and the feeler of your emotions. You are the liver of your life. How spirited you are in the living of your own life, how spirited you are in the thinking and feeling of your own thoughts and emotions is entirely up to you. Okay, but in practical terms, does that mean doing a complete 180 on those bad vibes, jumping instantly from grouchy and moody to super excited and blissful? Well, that's actually not impossible. It isn't the most natural, mind you, but it is possible. Ever seen a baby go from giggling to screaming fit and back again, literally within seconds, going back and forth, back and forth. Ever seen an actor shed tears on cue and then go back to their smiling selves as soon as the director yells cut? It's like they are schizophrenic, isn't it? It's kind of unnerving to witness because of how dramatic the change is. It feels unnatural. That's what makes it so funny when you see it in infants. In adults, extreme emotional shifts like that can come across as manipulative. It can come across as insincere and even creepy. My point isn't that that is what you must do too, just because it's possible. My point here with those examples is just to illustrate that it is possible to shift instantly between emotional states, and that therefore it is also possible to do so organically in a less dramatic way, in a way that feels natural and pleasant to you. Incremental change is far easier on you. It feels way more natural to shift gradually. It's not that you can't do a complete U-turn on grouchy bad vibes conditional you to happy unconditional you, but you don't have to be so hard on yourself by taking such a speedy route. Shifting emotional states rapidly from extreme to extreme is not only disorienting and taxing on you as the one who experiences it, it is also unnecessary, and it attracts unwanted things, I might add, because sustained emotional instability attracts physical manifestations that match the energy of instability. Unsteady emotions attract and manifest conditions that match the energy of unsteadiness. Unsteady feelings manifest unsteady conditions. Why go through all of that when you could just opt to take a more leisurely and scenic route and have a more enjoyable time of it, when you could feel steady and secure all along the way to high-spirited and blissfully aligned? It's up to you. You are free to choose. For example, say you get caught in a groove of bad vibes and you totally explode and lose your temper one day over something trivial, and it ends up in you picking a fight with your long-term lover who retaliates with some verbal sparring, and then the two of you have a huge row over that trivial thing, only in the course of that argument, you both say unkind things and accuse each other of making a huge deal out of nothing, and now you aren't speaking to each other. Reconciliation after a huge argument like that, where harsh words have been hurled back and forth, isn't impossible, but rushing into it is likely to backfire, right? If you've ever tried making up with someone right after having a huge fight with them, you know this to be true. The two of you might choose to reconcile quickly just because of how awful it feels to be at odds with each other, and because you want to soothe the rift, even at the cost of just sweeping everything under the rug. But timing matters. The curious thing about time is that time is actually a feeling. Time is an emotion. That's what makes good timing so satisfying and poor timing feel so unsatisfying. Anyway, some people get addicted to the drama of breaking up and getting back together again. It feels so good to make up after an argument that they get hooked on picking fights. They start to enjoy the misery of fighting and making up. Fighting and making up. Ever known a dysfunctional couple like that? Maybe you've even been in a dysfunctional relationship like that yourself. Well, what does this mean then? How do you manage your energy in practical terms? Doesn't being unconditional involve you just forgetting that you had that argument and acting as if it isn't bothering you? It could, and it doesn't have to. Being unconditionally happy doesn't have to mean you put on a brave face and give an Oscar-worthy performance of being carefree, an Oscar-worthy performance of not caring. Because it isn't that you don't care. If you didn't care, you wouldn't have been triggered in the first place. You do care. Who you really are is a lover, not a hater. Being unconditionally happy means that you embrace all things. You embrace all of you, even the part of you who is hateful and says mean things from time to time, the part of you who forgets who you really are. When you love yourself unconditionally, you are able to love others unconditionally as well. This isn't about condoning bad behavior. It's about being authentic and whole, allowing yourself to realign incrementally instead of pretending that there was never any misalignment to begin with. Embracing all of you means that you are okay with being in a funk. In other words, you've noticed that you are in a funk and you are okay with it. You don't have to love it, and you don't have to club yourself over the head with it either. You don't have to use the fact that you are in a funk as yet another excuse to flow negative energy. In other words, that's the true power of awareness, the true power of noticing. It's the power of stopping. In that stopping, you are free to change direction. You get out of the funk, out of the groove of bad vibes by noticing that you were the one resonating with those bad vibes. You put distance between you and those bad vibes by becoming aware of your own state of consciousness. So in that earlier example, if either you or your mate doesn't feel ready or willing to reconcile after that big fight you had, you can choose to be okay with that. You might notice yourself thinking of this state of affairs as a problem and feeling like you are in relationship limbo, feeling unsure of where you two stand with one another. And you are okay with that. You are not in a hurry to do something. You are not in a hurry to fix yourself or fix the other person or fix things, because you know that conditions do not matter and that conditions are impermanent anyway. You are an unconditional spiritual being who is aware of less than ideal conditions and remains at ease with the fact that you are not at ease, if that makes sense. You go, yeah, I'm in a bad mood. I know I'm in a bad mood, and that's okay. You can even laugh at yourself. Feel amused at the silly human being that you are. Take a broader perspective, the perspective of your higher self, your cosmic self, and feel amused at your silly little human self, thinking and doing silly little human things. It's just a movie. You're watching a movie, a play, a stage performance. Whatever is going on, whatever is quote unquote happening, is not a big deal. It's nothing serious, and it'll be over eventually anyway. Let it be. Let things run their course. You can say things like, that's life. It is what it is. Oh well, this too shall pass. Nothing is permanent. Long live impermanence. Whatever will be, will be. So come what may. It is not your job to fix things. There is nothing to fix. There is nothing for you to do. No action required of you. You are a human being, not a human doing. You get to manage your energy. Everything you do begins with the way you feel to begin with anyway, and not the other way around. The reason you found yourself in a funk in the first place is because you let things bother you. You let conditions bother you because you let yourself forget that you are an unconditional spiritual being in physical human form. Forgetting is not a problem unless you choose to see it as such. It's just a part of the human experience to be moody and emotionally out of whack sometimes. It's part of the human experience. It's what you signed up for. And yes, that means that when it comes to things like those huge arguments you have with the people you care about, you can rest assured that you will be okay regardless of the eventual outcome. Regardless, in other words, of whether or not the two of you actually do resolve your differences and reconcile. The point isn't whether or not you make up. That's conditional. The point is whether or not you are in the flow of the energy of who you really are. Someone who is loving and appreciative no matter what. When you are consistently in that flow, your words and actions are aligned. You say and do the appropriate thing with good timing. You act lovingly, and physical manifestations that match your energy of feeling good and having good timing come to you without you having to jump through all sorts of hoops and bend over backwards being a people pleaser. The solutions to your problems come to you, in other words. Your negative emotions mean that you are alive and in good working order, that there is nothing wrong with you. Isn't that good to know? Feeling emotional pain means that you are capable of feeling relief, that the potential of feeling relief is within you, even if you aren't feeling relieved right now. Isn't that something to appreciate, something to feel thankful for, something to look forward to at the very least? If so, hooray! If not, if you're not feeling that way, that's all right too. You will get there when you get there. So that's it. That's how you feel appreciation for your own negative thoughts and emotions, by letting them guide you incrementally toward better feeling thoughts and emotions. All you have to do is stop, change direction, and then let go. Let those bad vibes go and move away from them. Move in the opposite direction of them, because when you move in the opposite direction of bad vibes, you inevitably move toward things that you do prefer. Thank you for tuning in. And if you enjoyed or found this helpful in some way, please do me a quick favor and hit like, share the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel for more. Have a fantastic day and see you again soon. Bye.